Hello and welcome from the Bahrain International Circuit here in Sakhir. Down on the grid, the engineers are making their last checks and today's race will be underway shortly. Plenty of opportunities around the 3.36 miles of the Bahrain International Circuit for these young F2 drivers to show what they can do. The best passing opportunity right up there at turn 1, and we should see plenty of action there. But there's another not long after at turn 4. There are 9 right-handers, 6 left-handers, and the possibility that we could see some flat spots at the tightest of those left-handers, that's turn 10. Davide, you're a 3-time winner around here in 1 week, I believe, back in 2012. How on earth do you make the tyres last around this racetrack? They degrade so quickly.
To be honest, the key to the race is having a good start so you can get your car into a good position. Then save the tires as much as you can and push just at the end.
Let's take a look at the grid positions for today's race. Robert Schwartzman lines up on pole position and Liam Lawson completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Beckman, De Leder, Larim Zendeli and Vips, Porcher, Fiscal, Oscar Piastri, Fischer, Dragovic, Marino Sato and Lundgaard, Armstrong, Aitken, Deruvala and Guan Yu Zhou, Ticktum, Samaya, Nissani and Ralph Boschong completes the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, and today I am back with another F2 race, and it is of course the feature race at the Bahrain International Circuit. We've got a wonderful 16 laps around this circuit. Last time out of course we had the sprint race. We went from P10 to a very respectable P3. If you guys haven't watched that, it was a really great exciting race start, and then of course a fabulous overtake later on lap number 10. And in today's race we start from pole, no reverse grid. This is the result of qualifying. The sun is going to be blazing for each of these 16 laps, and of course there is the strategy a bit more involved in this one. The sprint race, there were no pit stops, everyone sat on the hards, stayed on the hards, and just kept those going for the whole race. This time though, we've got the mediums and then the hards. 6 laps for the medium tyre compound, and then 6 laps for the mediums and then 10 laps for the hard tyre compounds in this F2 race. So it's going to be an interesting one. Of course, a pit stop involved to spice things up a little bit. Some drivers might go for undercuts, maybe pit a lap earlier and see the advantage of fresh hards and potentially go for an overtake that way, but then be vulnerable later on in the Grand Prix and have quite a lot of defending to do. As I was saying, we start from pole. A very nice position to start from, of course. Really great result in qualifying. We went over the grid before, and apparently Joey Vips is also Pietro Fittipaldi. That was a bit odd there. A little glitch from the good old machine there, but yeah, we're starting P1, and behind us, so P2, Liam Lawson, P3, David Beckman, and Alessi De Leder lines up, rounding out the second row in P4 for HWA Race Lab. So De Leder, of course, we had that incident with him last time. I wonder if there's going to be some fireworks again if he gets towards us again. Of course, when he went down the inside line, Clip Patar reared, not my fault, I left him plenty of space, and went spinning around. Our teammate Oscar Piastri won the last time out in the sprint race, but he has to start P10, so he's got a lot of work to go forward, along with Ben Viscal and Enzo Fittipaldi, Poucher. But it's interesting, top 6, I think any of these top 6 stand a good chance in the race. Anything can happen, as we saw at the start of the race in the run down into turn 1. Let's watch though for Christian Lundgaard. He'll be looking to charge forward from P14. Marcus Armstrong 2 and Jack Aitken. Don't forget Guan Yu Zhou. He had a disappointing sprint race. He'll be looking to improve on 18th in this one. And we of course do lead the Drivers' Championship, and Prima lead the Team Championship, we of course lead the Drivers' Championship by 1 point to Oscar Piastri with that P3 fastest lap last time out, and then of course 4 points for pole position in qualifying. So now that we've had a look at the grid, it's going to be time to get into it. Before we do, if you haven't already, guys, don't forget to hit the like button and the subscribe button. But let's get into some top quality Formula 2 racing. Here we go then, F2 racing. Bahrain International Circuit, the feature race. 5 red lights, there are, and away we go. Not the best of starts for ourselves here. Bit all over the place as Liam Lawson comes across to send it 2 into the first corner. As we lock up a bit into it, it's going to be side by side through the rest of this section. As we come across, get a little bit of a tap on his rear, but we managed just about to stay ahead. Really good start for ourselves there. We'll have a look at a replay in a second. Alessi Deleda moves up to P3 with Beckman down to P4. Liam Lawson remains P2 as we just had a little bit of a tap through there, and he's now got to defend from Deleda. You might be able to see that from a replay as Deleda's taken the position. So Alessi Deleda, fantastic start, but then Lawson's fighting back. That is the replay of the start. We were starting from the front row of the grid. We got away well. Deleda got away well behind. So did Beckman back there, but Liam Lawson did really well off the line. Battling us into the first corner. He got just past us, and then we managed to get back towards him on the exit. A little bit of rubbing with the wheels, and we managed just about to get ahead. So we managed to stay ahead. Now, if we look further back, Alessi Deleda and Liam Lawson were then fighting down into turn 4. He goes Deleda around that outside line. There's the move, and he gets it done. That's the replay of that. Really nice work from Deleda, but then Liam Lawson comes right back at him. It's side by side through this section again, but Deleda just manages to stay ahead. Really good work from him there. He is up into P2, letting us get away a bit. If we look further down the order, Beckman down to P4, Lawson down to P3, Vips P5, Fittipaldi going well in 6th, Zandelli 7th, Poucher 8th, Viscar 9th, and Vershaw is 10th. Our teammate has dropped out of the points. Lundgaard and Aitken haven't had the best of starts, neither has Juan Yu Zhou further back. Number 2 then, and Alessi Deleda's fantastic start continues as we head towards DRS being activated. Deleda is trying to stick within a second of ourselves. There's a little bit of oversteer on the exit, certainly isn't going to help, because DRS is going to be enabled this lap as we go quickest.
Lap of the race. Keep this
with
up.
A purple final sector. DRS enabled. Deleda is going to be looking to get within a second of ourselves and hopefully try and get him. He'll be hoping that he can get a move. We're hoping that he doesn't. We'd like to stay out front of them, and I certainly would. Liam Lawson P3, Beckman 4, and Yuri Vips in P5 at the moment. So not too bad of a start to the Grand Prix for us. And I think Deleda might have got some DRS because he's right on our backs. I don't know if he did, I can't tell. But Deleda is right there. He's chasing us down. And he's going to be looking for an overtake potentially at the end of this lap. Or as we head down to the next DRS zone after turn 10. He's certainly having a look. He's having a sniff as he senses an opportunity as we lock up into it. That's not going to help the tyres. You can see the amount of tyre wear. These mediums are going pretty quickly. The hards are quite durable around Bahrain, but the mediums aren't that great. And here comes Alessi Deleda from behind. Is he going to have a look into it? No, he isn't. Stays in second place. Doesn't go for anything out of the box or risky. We're going to have to defend because as we head up the hill here, Deleda having a little bit of a look. Points his nose into it. Sees is there an opportunity. As you can see, we're certainly not going that quickly this lap. We're struggling a little bit. I think the tyres are already gone off. So not great with the tyre wear as he's going to be chasing us down this long straight. Is he going to go for a move down the main straight as the car's sliding again? Get full throttle, and we're going to be chased down by Alessi Deleda as I'm just going to move across, try and break the slipstream here.
The pit window. You'll be on the hards.
Going to try and dash across a bit. He goes around that outside line. He's gone for it. He's not going to get the move there. We comfortably are going to be able to stay ahead. We defend from him. We remain P1. Now we just got to push to turn 4 because he's got that DRS here. So we have a look. Is he going to go down that inside line? Is he going to try? Is he going to try? Alessio Deleda, is he going to go for it? Is he going to go for it? We leave plenty of space after what happened in the sprint race yesterday. When that wasn't even my fault, but I don't want to take him out. That would be another traumatic experience for him. And you can see we're a whole second slower. That's probably because that defending we had to do there. And these tyres are pretty worn out. We still have the fastest lap, but no one's going quicker. It's pretty clear that everyone's tyres aren't that fantastic. We've got a lot of defending to do in this Grand Prix though. And it's Deleda who's constantly having a look at us as we are forced to go really defensive. Very slow in, get the acceleration out. He's not going to be able to have a look this time round down this straight because he's 6/10 back. Here's a replay of Deleda and Lawson goes back down the inside line. What a move on Alessi Deleda. Up into P2 goes Liam Lawson. A beauty of a move down the inside line using that DRS. He's going to chase after ourselves on those mediums. He's just 6/10 behind us, but a fantastic move on Deleda to get up into P2. And that's your podium at the moment. We've got ourselves in P1, Lawson P2, and Deleda P3. Lap 5 and towards the end of it. Next lap we will be pitting, and Liam Lawson ahead of Deleda, pushing towards us. Really nice move. And Deleda isn't dropping back though. It's not like Deleda's dropping back. Lovely move from Lawson back up into P2, and he's going to be chasing us down again.
Boxing this lap. Give us the best in lap you can.
That lap wasn't that bad here on very, very worn mediums at the moment. They're very worn for 6 laps, but of course that is because we're at Bahrain in the daytime. They mediums wear out so quickly. It's going to be interesting to see if everyone decides to come in. I think half the grid will be coming in this lap and then the other half next lap, but I think the half that are coming in this lap will probably be the drivers who are towards the front, because if you stay out again on these front of the lap and you're towards the front, unless it's because your teammate's further ahead, you're going to drop really far back as we go really nicely in the first sector. Starting to find a bit of pace, a bit of rhythm in this Grand Prix as we are comfortably keeping Liam Lawson behind. He's of course in that lovely sort of Red Bull-like livery on that F2 car. Some of them have that, I think that's because they're sponsored by him. But Liam Lawson behind there down in P2 as we nearly lose the car under braking. A little bit all over the place. We are struggling a little bit, definitely on these tyres, 53% on the left front. But we're going to be coming in for a fresh set of hards, which I'm definitely going to be welcoming. And that will be for 10 laps of the Grand Prix. 10 laps of racing in these F2 cars to come after the pit stop. It'll be interesting to see who else comes in. I think Liam Lawson will come in. I think Deleda will come in. But I think Vips will stay out. I think Beckman will come in. So it's going to be an interesting one. Let's see how many drivers decide to come in as we get a lovely run through the final corner, flat out, and we're going to box this lap. Who else is coming in? Lawson comes in. Vips doesn't come in. Deleda comes in. So it looks like half of the grid stays out, half the grid comes in, and that half of the grid...
Go, go, go. You'll be racing on the exit. Exit, exit now.
Oh dear, this could be frustrating. We could lose places here because we're stuck behind Sato, who's going to pit. No, we're not going to lose places. We could have done there. And as you can see, Lawson behind, then Deleda. So half the grid's pitted, half the grid hasn't.
Look after these tyres now. We want to finish the race on this compound.
And the half the grid that hasn't decided to pit could be in trouble. They could easily be further away from us, and some of those who's were like in the top 10, they could be out the top 10. And this is going to really spice it up a little bit, because teams might end up with just like one driver in the top 10 at this stage, and we might have very, very spread in terms of getting points for the constructors. But we're out the pit now. We've got Lawson behind, then Deleda, and these hards feel a lot nicer than those very warm mediums. Here we go then, end of lap 7, on to lap 8. Those drivers have pitted. Lawson, Deleda, it'd be interesting to see where Yuri Vips is going to filter out. And Beckman is ahead of Yuri Vips as we mess up the first corner. But Beckman ahead of Yuri Vips in this one. So you can see how pitting one lap later is costly, as here comes Liam Lawson. Is he going to have a move? Is he going to look for it? Will you leave him enough space to go for it? Because you've got to leave space there, unless they're just going to end up spinning out. And there we go, yes, the top 5. Ourselves, Lawson, Deleda, Beckman and Vips. Well, then now that the order has filtered out, Liam Lawson still in P2, chasing ourselves, and oh dear, he's going slowly. Liam Lawson is going slowly, and that's a mechanical failure. What a shame for Liam Lawson. He's out of the session, and he drops away from 2nd place. A real shame for him. He's running so well as we go back to ourselves. He's running fantastically well. And then mechanical failure. Deleda moves up to P2 with Beckman up into P3. Since we've sadly lost Lawson from this race, I've been going pretty decently actually, you know. We've gone green in this sector, purple in the middle, green in the first sector, purple in the middle sector, and we could be heading for a fastest lap here, which we get 7/10 quicker. We've really hooked that up, and we're getting away from Deleda. Lawson really did have a similar pace to ourselves, and he is now out the Grand Prix, so we're managing to get away despite that mistake at the first corner on this lap. We've got Deleda behind Beckman, Vips, and then Poucher. Poucher doing really well. I think he was 5th. Oh dear, 5th in the sprint race, so he's heading towards another 5th. That could be quite helpful for him in terms of the championship. Of course, he did really well in the last race, despite dropping down a position. Really, that was just ourselves going forward, and we were flying forward, so that was a strong race for him, as we're not going that great this lap, but we're still comfortably ahead of Deleda. We don't want him to get DRS, and he certainly is nowhere near it at this moment in time, so we're in a comfortable position. We've just got to push from here and sort of bring it home, because hopefully there won't be too much more drama for ourselves. There's quite a bit of action actually happening further down the field. This is Dan Ticktum and Roy Nissany into the final corner. Ticktum, beautiful move down the inside line, but goes too deep, and he's going to lose the position to Roy Nissany. He's going to get back ahead. He's now got DRS, so Maya's going to try to get into it. He's down in P20. A lovely battle going on here, and you can see that Roy Nissany is struggling for acceleration. Dan Ticktum's there. He gets the move done, and now you're going to see Samaya going to go for the move, and Samaya's got the move on Roy Nissany. And now just in front, Samaya and Dan Ticktum right next to each other. What a battle this is, and Samaya might even go for the move down the outside line. Could this be 20th to 18th? It's going to be a close one, and Samaya's going to go for the acceleration out the corner. Is he going to get it? It's pretty much side by side through this section. This is so close between these two. Real shame for Roy Nissany. He has dropped down the field very quickly. He's gone from very respectable P18 back down there, and you can see that Samaya is ahead of Dan Ticktum. What a move, what a battle there. Samaya's moved up from 20th to 18th, and Roy Nissany's moved from 18th down to 20th. Fantastic battles at the rear of the field. And, well, this is just incredible pace for us this F2 race weekend at Bahrain. You know, P3 with the fastest lap in the sprint race from P10, and we're set to go and set another fastest lap there, 1 minute 43.
Good job. That was the fastest lap of the race so far. We're leading our teammate by 10.1 seconds.
Yes, Piastri certainly hasn't made the sort of progress he would have been hoping for, as we just do a little drift through the first corner. Why not? And tyres, I do struggle with tyres quite a bit around Bahrain, so I'm actually surprised we've managed to do this well in the race so far. You know, Deleda, we're really getting away from him. He's got Beckman and Vips on his back. Poucher P5, and this has felt almost a little bit too easy for us today. Of course, I think we would really have been pushed to the end had Lawson have been in it, because I think Lawson really probably would have ended up pushing us right to the limit in terms of trying to defend from him, because he was doing really well actually. And once he got the overtake back on Deleda, doing really nicely, but sadly he's out the Grand Prix, so we lose a little bit of competition we could have had there. Deleda certainly doesn't have that sort of pace really that he has. I think Beckman's probably got a decent amount of pace, possibly more than Deleda. It'd be interesting to see as we nearly bottle it this lap. That's not what you want to do. Lap 13 out of 16 after this lap, just 3 laps to go, so you don't want to make any mistakes. absolutely bottle it and then lose it this race weekend. But a really strong start here in Bahrain. Be interesting to see what we can do at the next race weekend, which will be Imola. Hopefully we'll be able to get good results there, but really strong start to the season it's becoming. Sloppy lap this time round, but we've got a comfortable lead still on Alessia Delaney. You can see how the field really is quite spread out at this point. Really is, and our teammate isn't really flying at the moment. You've got Pouchet 5th. I think Vips is, not Vips. We've got, yes, we've got Pouchet 5th, and we've got 6th, 7th. I think, yeah, our teammate is out of the points, which is not that great. So that's not exactly what Prima will be wanting, but we're certainly flying the flag for them. So the team should certainly be fine. We had a massive lead after the sprint race with 1st and 3rd, but we should be very comfortable in the Drivers' Championship to our teammate. Pietro Fittipaldi, I do believe, is in the points. He'll be scoring a decent amount. Pouchet will be scoring some in 5th. Deleda really probably would have been scoring some in the sprint race had we not have had that collision. He probably would have been scoring some in the sprint yesterday. I'm not really pushing as much now, just sort of nursing the tyres a little bit so we don't get too much wear on them when it becomes too slippery. But the hards certainly is a massive difference between the mediums and the hards around Bahrain in these F2 cars. As you can see, we go wide on the exit of turn 10, not the first time. But the mediums feel a lot closer to softs. Like, they feel almost just like slow softs. Meanwhile, the hards feel like a lot more durable than the mediums, like 3 times as durable as the mediums. You can see that we are going towards 10 laps on these tyres now. It will be 10 laps on these tyres by the end of the race, and we'll have a similar amount of wear than we did on the mediums with 6 laps. So, you know, it feels nowhere near as bad in terms of how the tyres feel. But, you know, Deleda's catching us behind. Could we have a battle for the win, maybe?
At the moment, just focus on the driving.
You see, I'm focusing on the driving mid. I do need to get a little bit of a move on here because that lap was pretty poor. We can do a lot better. We don't want to drop into the realms of Deleda, Beckman and Vips in pretty much a totally dominant race for us as we go purple in the Sector 3 this lap. Final lap, as Jeff was just saying. That's what we're on to.
Is dropping back. We're seeing a gap form.
A gap form, mate. Well, it's just been fluctuating from just like 1.2 to 3 seconds. We're pretty much dominant in this Grand Prix. We've put in some really decent laps. And yeah, that sprint race result yesterday has really helped us. Had we not have had a fantastic sprint race, you know, we certainly wouldn't have been taking this now, really, in terms of like the championship, you know. If you can get on pole, win the feature race, but then also manage to climb up the order in the sprint race, you know, you're going to be really strong. You're not going to go for a faster lap this time. You've put a really decent one in with a 1 minute 43.4. There was definitely improvement on that lap to be made potentially in the final sector, as we go all over the place here. But we're going to come on this final lap to win what is going to be the second race of this F2 season, the first feature race, the final action at the Bahrain International Circuit. We've had qualifying, we did really well in that one, really strong. We managed to climb up the order in the sprint race, and here we are in the feature race. It probably would have been a bit more drama later on had Liam Lawson not have DNF'd due to mechanical failure. He would have had a bit of a tussle for the victory, and in fact he might have even taken it. But Deleda hasn't had the pace to match us. And here we go then, our first F2 victory as Robert Schwartzman, the fastest lap here for Prima. We win.
You worked hard for that one. Congratulations.
Great effort there from Prima to take the victory today. And I have to wonder, Davide Valsecchi, just what set them apart from the competition here.
Although the Formula 2 cars are all the same spec, the winner just looked better out there. It would have been a combination of getting those tires up to running temperature faster and driving to the condition on track. They made it look easy out there today.
As we look back on a thrilling race here today, we can now see the drivers take their places on the podium. It's a familiar sight by now, as it's another successful F2 win for Prema.
The feature race, of course, we win first place on the grid to first at the flag. A really good result for ourselves. Fastest lap, won it 43.4. That was a really tasty lap, that one. I had about 3 really decent laps in there, but then we also struggled a little bit at other points in the Grand Prix. So really, although my fastest lap looks very quick and way too quick, we then also did have that struggle at points where I really just couldn't find the grip and the car was sliding quite a bit. We almost had to use the sliding to be able to get the fast lap. You saw me a few times at turn 1, trying to go into it, locking up a little bit, sliding, losing the rear end, but managing just to get ourselves back on track. So we take a very, very good first place with the fastest lap. We did that race in 28 minutes, 36 seconds. 0.793 in these beautiful F2 cars. That means that we take away a whopping 25 points for the race result in P1, and then 2 more for that fantastic fastest lap. Alessio Delayda, the Italian for HWA Race Lab, takes P2 after starting P4 on the grid. He had a really good start to the race, moved up the field, ended up then managing to get the overtake on Liam Lawson. He got overtaken by Liam Lawson then later on, but of course Liam DNF. So great second place for Alessio there. He did really well quite a lot of the Grand Prix, just didn't really have the competitiveness that Lawson did in terms of battling us. And then behind him, Beckman started third, finishes third for Campos Racing. A bit disappointing for him. He could have done a lot more in the race. Didn't really get that fantastic of a result, but 15 points, really solid for his team. Not too bad for them, but really I feel like had he not have been behind Delayda, he might have had a bit more pace, but when you're stuck in that DRS train, there's not that much you can do. Joey Vips took P4 High-Tech Grand Prix, 6th to 4th, really decent race for him. He takes 12 points. He was about 7/10-ish behind David Beckman, so there you go, that is the top 4. Then you've got the rest. 5th place Theo Pouchet was a bit disconnected from the train with Delayda, Beckman, Vips, and of course ourselves leading that, but he had a fantastic result, the Frenchman for ART Grand Prix, with another 5th place. That's 10 points for him and the team, with a best lap of a 1 minute 44.3 from 7th on the grid. Ben Viscal moved up the field after a disappointing and frustrating end to the race last time out, losing the podium position. He takes 6th for Trident and 8 points from 9th on the grid. Then Larim Zendelli takes 7th. He dropped down from 5th. A disappointing race for him, not the best start that he would have wanted. He had the pace, but got stuck in the middle of this train. We saw yesterday in the last race how hard it is to overtake. 6 points for him. Richard Vershaw moved up from 11th to 8th, another solid points score for him, starting P11 in both races, but then made his way up the order, and today for MP Motorsport with a decent result, only 7 seconds behind us ourselves, the leader. Enzo Fittipaldi dropped down to 9th from 8th position for Charu Racing System. He takes just 2 points in the last point taken by our teammate Oscar Piastri. Started 10th, finished 10th. I was hoping that he could have got a bit higher up the field for the team, but didn't, sadly, for him after taking the win in the previous race. Mariano Sato just missed out on points yet again. He was 10th last time, missing out on points by 2 places. He's missed out on points by 1 place this time. Jat Aitken moved up to P12 for HWA Race Lab. Lundgaard, Daruvala and Drugovic round out the top 15. Marcus Armstrong had a disappointing 16th for Dams. Meanwhile, Juan Yuzhou once again struggled, finished P17 for Univirtuoso Racing, still yet to score. Samaya, Tikdom and Boschung and then Nissany all had a fantastic long race battle, but Nissany definitely dropped away towards the end there. And that rounds out all the finishers. Liam Lawson sadly could not finish with a mechanical failure. And of course that is it for the Bahrain weekend at the Sakhir track. Fantastic sprint race, and we dominated in the feature race. And there's the points, 43 for ourselves, a really dominant start to the season. Alessio De Leda takes P2 in the standings after this weekend for HWA Race Lab, despite not scoring in the first round. As I'm sure you can see, it doesn't seem to have the scores on there for round number 2 yet, but I can show you this, of course, like you can see sort of what happened in terms of the order of who took points in the sprint race and then where they ended up in the championship. And you can see that Fittipaldi did really well in the sprint race but has dropped down the order. We're going to go into the proper standing section. So as you can see, we lead by 25 points to Alessio De Leda. What a start to the season for ourselves. Poucher is P3 for ART Grand Prix, but has the same amount of points as Bent Viscal, who's P4, and Oscar Piastri, P5. David Beckman is P6, 1 point behind with 15. Jerry Vips and Enzo Fittipaldi both have 14. We've got Vershaw with 8, and Zendelli, his teammate, with 6th. Liam Lawson has just 1 point, and that rounds out everyone with points. The rest of the field still yet to score, and we have a whopping 43 points after the first race in the season. And then in terms of the team standings, Prima have 59 and lead by 41 to HWA Race Lab. ART Grand Prix are just behind them with 16. Trident also have 16. Campos Racing and High Tech Grand Prix have 15. MP Motorsport and Sharu Racing System have 14. Carlin, Univertosi Racing and Dams still yet to score. So as you can see, it's really close, apart from the fact Prima are absolutely running away with it. And had we not have even scored this weekend, Prima still would have been right up there had we not have even participated in either race. So because they would have been in this top 5 situation, because they would have had 15 points from Oscar Piastri. So there you go, that is the F2 Bahrain feature race results. If you guys have enjoyed it, then don't forget to hit the like button and the subscribe button. Thanks a lot for watching, and catch me next time for qualifying at Imola.